Hi y'all, welcome to Petite Weaver Crafts episode 28. I'm recording here today on December 28, 2016. Thank you so much you guys for joining me this week. This will be the last podcast of the year, which is crazy. So for today, I have some stash, some finished objects, and of course some works in progress. So let's get started. Since I didn't have work and I stayed in town this year, I got to knit pretty much all day since I had already gotten all my Christmas gifts done. So I made a lot of progress on my projects. So first up are my vintage fairy light socks. So I mentioned that I was going to cast these on Christmas Eve last time I podcasted. This is the vintage fairy lights pattern by Helen Stewart, and you can see here there's a little bit of texture detail at the top, and then it's a ribbed leg, and then I inserted a Eye of Partridge heel instead of the traditional slip stitch heel, because I wanted to try something a little bit new. I casted this on Christmas Eve, which is the 23rd, and I finished them yesterday, the 27th. So 4 days for a pair of socks. It's a new record for me. I'm very proud of myself, but I also knitted pretty much all day. So that's how I got it done so quickly. And the yarn that I use for the sock is Knitted With Plied Pixie is the base, and it has the Lynai plied into the yarn base. So actually the stellina is a little bit rough on my hands. Normally stellina is it sticks out a little bit, but this one, since it was twisted in with the yarn, it was actually a little bit sharp. This is in the frozen colorway, so it's super cute, but one sock actually ended up quite a bit different color than the second. This one was a lot lighter and this one had a little bit more blue in it, but that's the nature of hand-dyed skeins in general, so I don't mind it. I still think they're pretty stinking cute. Next up for finished objects is a very big project for me. This is the poncho that I've been showing you guys recently. So here it is, the whole thing. When I left you guys last, I believe I had just passed this stripe here, and then I added this 2-color colorwork section and then the bottom 3-color colorwork section. This project was very challenging for me. I'd never done 3-color colorwork before, but I ended up learning a lot, and I'm no longer scared of 3-color colorwork. This is a test knit, as I mentioned before. The pattern should be released early next year sometime, so I'll let you guys know as soon as it is. And here is a peek at the inside. I'm pretty proud of how neat and everything I kept the inside as well. Since it was 3 colors, color management was a little bit more difficult. I had to wrap the yarn more often since some of the contrast colors didn't have a stitch for like 12 stitches or so. But yeah, I overall am very proud of myself for finishing this project within a month as well. I was cutting it a little bit close as it was due by the end of the year. This is going to be super cozy. It's a worsted weight poncho that is double thick thanks to the stranded colorwork, so it should be nice and warm. Unfortunately, it is like 70 degrees here in LA today, but hopefully it'll cool down again soon and I'll get to wear it out. The yarn that I used to knit this project is Blue Sky Alpacas Woolstok, and the colorways are Highland Fleece, which is the natural color, Gray Harbor, which is the gray here, and then of course Crystal Quartz, which is this blush pink, and they play together wonderfully. I have quite a bit of the Highland Fleece and the Crystal Quartz left over. I might do a impromptu Farrell hat to match the poncho since I have the yarn anyway. One of my New Year's resolutions is actually to start pattern designing. I think a simple colorwork hat might be a fun one to start with. So stay tuned next year. Hopefully I'll get something out pretty soon. I already have the design in mind. I just gotta knit up the sample and test it and send it out and everything like that. But yeah, so stay tuned. So next up is stash. The first gift that I got is a set of size 00 HiyaHiya Sharp DPNs. I was very excited to get the set since I only have size 0 DPNs right now. I wanted to try to see if the size 00 would work a little bit better for some of the lighter fingering weight yarns that I have. So yeah. Next up, as I mentioned, I wanted to try my hand at pattern designing. So the next gift that I got will be super handy for that. I got the Norah knitted cable source book. It is a stitch directory, and it has the most wonderful cable patterns. They range from very simple to super complex. I just briefly flipped through them, but I cannot wait to try my hand at some of these cables. Here's just a sampling of some of the cable patterns in this book. As you can tell, the photography is gorgeous. And then there's over 150 stitch patterns in this book. So I'm very excited to try this out and see what I can design. Alrighty, now onto works in progress. I casted on my 4th kitty cat hat. This is another one that will be sent off, and this is knit up with loops and threads, charisma yarn. I don't have the band anymore, so I don't know what colorway this is, but it's super pretty variegated color. I'm still using the same needle sizes that I did for all the other hats, but this one is a bulky yarn, so it's a little bit thicker and it's going to be a little bit stiffer. I use a size 5 for the ribbing, and then I use this US size 6 for the hat itself. And as I mentioned before, this is part of the Pussy Hat Project, which is part of the Women's March on Washington. Knitters and crafters in general are making these hats and sending them off to Washington, so all the women who are marching can have a unified look. And if you guys are interested at all, please check out their website. I will link it in the show notes. And there are marches all over the US as well if you want to participate. I will be participating here in Los Angeles, and hopefully I'll see you guys with your pussy hats. Next up is my Cozy Memories blanket. I finished up the Lynai Yarns Advent Calendar. I added the final few mini skeins. This one was called Dirt, and then Red Wagon, and then this one is called Festive Eggnog, which is super pretty. It's a little bit hard to tell, but it's actually a nice pastel yellow and a natural color speckled with the red and the green. So I finished out the row, and now this is a 10 by 12 blanket, so it's like, I guess, a crib size blanket currently. And yeah, I'm still enjoying it. I add a square on every day, and it's a great way to kind of wind down every night. And as a tangent to my Cozy Memories blanket is my crochet scrappy blanket. I showed you this blanket quite a few episodes ago now. I left you guys off on this stitch marker right here. I've added a few more rows, as you can tell. And this is a super simple granny square blanket. I started off in the center here. I'm just increasing all the way around. And I'm using a size 5 needle or a 3mm crochet hook. And I'm doing magic knots to combine my ends. And I'm almost done with my scrappy yarn ball. So I actually made another ball using all of the scraps from the Advent calendar, as well as other various bits and bobs that I had laying around. It's not the prettiest laid out blanket because of course the colors are kind of randomly placed and it's all over the place, but I really am enjoying this. This is very mindless. I can squeeze in a couple stitches here and there, and it's getting rid of all those little scraps of yarn that I have laying around even after my squares are done. And it's really decluttering kind of the random mess of scraps that I have around the house. So it's super satisfying, and it's, you know, kind of part of the whole cleaning and tidying up for the new year. This is the last work in progress that I have. I showed you guys this last week, and it hasn't made too much more progress. I left you guys off where this little Sucra miniature macaron stitch marker is. I only added a few more rows, and this is knit up with my overdyed yarn, and I overdyed it using a tutorial by Nicole from HiyaHiya. I am alternating skeins. As you can tell, you can see how some of the stripes or some of the rows are a lot lighter than the other. When I overdyed the yarn, some of my skeins turned out quite a bit different, so I wanted to alternate the skeins so that it blends more seamlessly from one skein to the other. And since I am knitting in the round, that's fairly easy. I just knit one row in one color, and then I just wrap one ball around the other and then knit with the second color. And you see here, here's my seam. It's a very nice and smooth seam here. And then on the other side, you can't even tell where the seam is really. It's right there. You have to look pretty close to see the seam. And I'm really happy with the way it's looking. This is the Worsted Boxy sweater by Joji Locatelli. As the name implies, it is a boxy sweater. So I get to knit around and around for another 15 inches or so. So yeah, also another great mindless knit. And I just love the way these colors look. I'm very proud of myself for how these turned out. So that's it for me this week. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching. As always, you can find me on Instagram as Petite Weaver and on Ravelry as well. Please feel free to contact me in either location if you ever have any questions about the stuff I'm working on or anything like that. I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas, and I wish you guys a safe and wonderful new year. See you guys in 2017. Bye!